Hey guys, it's Chris. From fried brains in a sandwich to some critters that might kill you. Join me as I reveal 11 of the weirdest foods from around the world. Number 11. Fried brain sandwich. Believe it or not, the notion of eating animal brains is not foreign to many. In fact, some brains of animals are considered a delicacy in many countries, including France, which likes to serve cat brains and eggs to patrons of certain restaurants. I don't know that I'm sure about that one. What do you think? In the United States, especially in the Midwest, there used to be a very common meal known as fried brain sandwich. It was basically a burger-like meal, with the exception that instead of the burger meat of a cow, it was their brains that you had instead. And for a while anyways, it was actually very popular. Then mad cow disease came around, and it curbed the appetites of many who wished to try it. The meal is still available to have right now should you have a desire to try it out. I don't. The catch though is that because of the mad cow epidemic, there are regulations on how old these brains can be before they're served. They cannot be older than 30 months upon serving. Even that seems really old. However, some people now use pig brains in this meal to help ensure that mad cow disease doesn't happen to any of their customers. Number 10. Insects. In the world at large, insects are viewed by many to be creepy crawlies and thus things that are meant to be looked at, yet not touched for a variety of reasons. However, while many do indeed fear insects, others see them as a natural delicacy. And so all over the world, you're gonna find meals that are focused around insects in some shape or size. In Shanghai, China, for example, there are street vendors that serve you fried scorpions on a stick. There are also people who bathe insects like grasshoppers in chocolate and serve them as a dessert of sorts. In South Korea, they serve silkworm larvae as part of a meal. And the more countries you visit and the more off the beaten path, the more unique bug meals you're gonna find. While this may seem disgusting to many, the fact of the matter is that most bugs are nutritious and healthy to eat. Well, for the most part. Granted, there are bugs that need to be prepared because of venomous or poisonous reasons. But things like locusts, grasshoppers, ants, and more are able to be eaten right now. And so, people partake in this gift from nature. Number 9. Pufferfish. If you know your sea creatures, you'll understand why it's weird that anyone would serve a pufferfish as a meal. Mainly because the pufferfish is without a doubt one of the deadliest creatures in the world because of the toxin within its body. You see, pufferfish carry tetrodotoxin, a toxin that's so powerful and deadly that there's no known cure for it in the world. That's why it's one of the most dangerous foods out there. How it's secreted, though, is just as interesting. If a human or predator cuts into the pufferfish's skin in the wrong way, the toxin will emerge, freezing your muscles until you die. Though to be clear, there are times when it's non-lethal, and the amount does count here. Because of the very deadly nature of this fish, most countries have banned the fish from being eaten or even imported. You need to be an expert in dissecting it to ensure that the poison isn't put anywhere in the food. 99% of all countries and chefs on Earth won't take that risk, except for in Japan. Japan not only knows how to carve up the pufferfish, they consider it a delicacy in their country. But they don't call it pufferfish there, they call it fugu. And because of the seasons that the fish have, they often only serve it between October and March. If you're gonna try it, make sure the chef has some major experience. And if you have tried it, let me know in the comments below. And now for some eight-legged friends, but first, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know the craziest thing you've ever eaten in the comments below. Number 8. Tarantulas. Despite sometimes getting confused, insects and spiders are not the same for a whole host of reasons. But like insects, spiders are hated and feared by many because of their looks, which, let's be honest, it's not really their fault. But even so, many countries, including the Philippines, Thailand, and Cambodia, are more than willing to cook up tarantulas, which are one of the most feared spiders in the world, and then serve them to customers. Now that must be interesting. In fact, in Cambodia, the serving of these spiders is considered a national treat among the people, despite the admission that the taste can be rather bland at times. And make no mistake here, guys, these are no small spiders. Each tarantula can be the size of the palm of your hand, ensuring a long-lasting meal as you chomp down. And the thing that does detract from some people trying it out is that since you're eating all of the tarantula, you're gonna eat its insides, which at times include spider eggs. Surprise! Number 7. Bird nest soup. When you think about a bird nest, you likely think about small twigs, branches, and leaves woven together by birds to make a strong foundation. But in truth, there are some birds like the edible nest swiftlets, Indian swiftlets, and other swiftlets who use hardened saliva to make their own nests. The process is really effective, and the results are a nest that's safe, strong, and edible. In China especially, bird nest soup is made from these hardened saliva nests, which is really probably the grossest way to describe it. Hardened saliva nests. And they've been making this soup for over 400 years. While it may sound disgusting, the Chinese are more than happy to point out that these nests are actually very high in nutritional value, which is why they're such a popular meal there in certain circles. Personally, and I'm not speaking as any kind of scientist, I'm not sure how nutritious saliva could be though. That being said, while the soup is popular, it's actually hard to make because these nests are kind of hard to get. You must climb up a cliff and grab the nests off a ledge. To that end, the lower range of the nests per pound is about $3,000, and some of them, including a red nest made by a swiftlet, can cost $10,000. And so because of these costs, bird nest soup is actually one of the most expensive meals in the world today. Number 6. Escargot. If you were to make a list of many famous dishes you can get in France, escargot would no doubt be in the top 5 of that list, even though it's only made number 6 on our list here. And that's interesting because escargot is just a fancy way of saying you're eating snails. And what's confused many tourists over the years is that the snails are served within their shells. You're supposed to use a fork to get them out, and then put them on a piece of white bread and smother it with the sauce that is also in the shell for the best flavor. First impressions notwithstanding, many tourists have found escargot to be rather delectable, and it's a big reason why the dish is continuing to be served in the country and many other places in Europe. What's more, you can try and make your own escargot via certain supermarkets that provide you the correct snails. And in case you're curious, escargot literally translates to edible snail. Number 5. Balut. All over the world, eggs are served in a variety of ways and with a variety of flavors and seasonings. But in the Philippines, they decided to take the development of certain eggs to a whole new level for food and created balut as a result. So what is balut? Well, to put it simply, it's an egg that's already developing the embryo of a duck. Once the embryo has developed, the egg is then boiled, and the egg, along with the embryo, is served to the customer. So why go so far to let the egg develop and then cook it? Well, it's because while the egg on its own is high in nutritional value, with the cooked embryo, it's even more nutritious. The dish is so popular that it's considered one of the national foods of the Philippines. Number 4. Surströmming. The Swedish are known for many things, including the wide variety of fish meals that they make. But one of the odder versions of fish that they make and ship is surströmming. Basically, it's Baltic herring that's been fermented in a large can. They're sold and shipped in these cans, which has occasionally caused problems for those handling them. Plus, the fermentation process can sometimes take 6 months to do. Now, at first, this may not seem too odd or weird. However, a test in Japan with surströmming, well, it revealed that the process of making it releases an odor that's been described as some of the most putrid in the world. Yet people still eat it, and mainly outdoors. Number 3. Cobra snake heart. Snake meat is a well-known food that many people, especially survivalists, eat. If they know what kind of snake they're eating, they're fine. But with the Vietnamese, they take it to another level by cooking cobras. To be clear though, they don't just eat the meat. They have a superstition about the heart of a king cobra. If you catch one, then chop off its head and cut out its heart, and then you eat it, it's supposed to give you superhuman vitality. And to help you get it down, they actually put it in a drink, such as vodka. And then you have to take a shot with it. Has anybody tried this? Anyone? Come on, one of you must have tried it. Please leave me a comment. Number 2, haggis. On the surface, haggis is without a doubt a unique meal, one that is a nationally recognized food of Scotland. To explain it simply, haggis is a pudding, but one that's made up of the liver, heart, and lungs of a sheep. That's not all, though. It's also mixed with beef and oatmeal and seasoned with onions, cayenne peppers, and other various spices. After all that, you put it into a sheep's stomach and then you boil the whole thing. That seems like a ton of work to make. And to help you eat it, you're usually given some scotch or another hard drink. But here's the rub. You can only get this meal in Scotland, because the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, has decreed that it will accept no foods that have an animal's lungs in it, which haggis obviously does. Scotland has appealed their ruling and has tried to make concessions to lift the ban, but it hasn't worked as of yet. Still, that doesn't stop the Scots from eating it in their homeland or offering it to many who want to try a unique and beloved Scottish meal. So I guess bon appetit if that's your thing. Number 1. Halcarl. To put it simply, halcarl is a shark, specifically a Greenland shark, but one that has been left to ferment and rot for about 5 months. Yes, you're technically eating a rotted out shark. There's a reason for this, though. The natural form of the Greenland shark cannot be eaten fresh, as it's poisonous to the human body. So by letting it decay just a little, the poison leaves the body. Or, you could just not eat this particular shark. This type of shark is beloved in Iceland and is served year-round at special festivals. But to those of you who may be tourists in the area, just take a quick warning. The sharks, due to their rotted state, do have a rather potent ammonia smell, which has caused many to get the meal and gag at first because the smell gets to them. But if you're brave, then I say go for it. Thanks for watching. What did you think of these weird foods from around the world? Have you ever tried any of them? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to World List before you leave, and I'll see you next time.